Good morning to all of you and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's editorial is all about the impact of monsoon on some of the states, especially the focus is on the impact of the southwest monsoon while retreating the impact of this monsoon on the state of Kerala. There are about 20 words which are very important. Some of the words are preserve, integrity, trail, sustain, content. And today, if you guys remember last year when I presented the Hindu editorial analysis, I would provide the framework. And recently, some students have requested, sir, please provide the framework of the editorial. That's what I'm going to do. And I hope everything is all right. Is it on? Yes. So, what is this editorial about? It is about states preserving the integrity of rivers and mountains to face heavy monsoons. Today, we all know, of late, for the last 2 or 3 years, the impact of monsoon has been devastating and unimaginable. A lot of people have been affected, and also loss of life, also loss of property, loss of life. And this editorial talks about the main idea of the editorial, the role of the states. What are the states supposed to do to face heavy monsoons? One, they have to preserve the integrity of rivers and also the integrity of mountains. What is a broad framework? It starts with southwest monsoon, the impact of southwest monsoon, and it talks about the recent impact on Kerala state. Then it talks elaborately about the impact of southwest monsoon in different states. Then it provides detailed information, the impact of the monsoon in the state on the state of Kerala. Then in general, it talks about Indian monsoon. It is invaluable source. Everyone knows that monsoon is very important, especially if you take our country economy. The backbone of Indian economy is agriculture. For agriculture, monsoon is indispensable. Then he talks about the variations. Of late, the monsoon has been erratic and variations have been noticed. And what is those variations and which state has got the maximum impact of those variations? Then it talks about in detail again impact of Kerala on Kerala state and the response of the government and also the role of IMD. Then it talks about living conditions and based on the living conditions, the impact of the monsoon. And one of the reasons, encroachments and incompatible development. And this editorial, not only this editorial, do remember any editorial, when they write based on a problem, they write and they talk about the problem, they provide the background information, and they also talk about the solutions. So here, the impact, negative impact of the monsoon, one of the reasons, living conditions. And of late, it talks about Kerala state. It talks about encroachments, incompatible development, and quarrying, especially the impact of quarrying. And then it talks about how to treat nature and similar threats. If you go to the North Himalayan region, foothills of Himalayas, similar threats, and what is the impact of climate change? And based on the impact of climate change, how the states have to protect the property as well as the lives of people. There's a broad framework. If you ask the question, is it an important editorial from the exam point of view? What is the significance of this editorial? Answer is going to be it is an important editorial because it's all about monsoon and it is about impact of monsoon. Of late, for the last 2 or 3 years, the impact has been devastating. And you may get this as a passage, similar article as a passage in prelims or mains, and definitely very important. And also, so many words. These words are important again from the exam point of view. Now, let us go to the editorial and see how it starts. Slippery slopes. So, this talks about something slippery, means not able to hold, and slopes. Here it talks about the mountain region. And what is the main idea of this editorial? To face heavy monsoons, states must preserve the integrity of rivers and mountains. The main idea is all about how to face the monsoons and impact of the monsoons. What are the states supposed to do? What the states are supposed to do? There are two things. States must preserve the integrity of rivers and the integrity of mountains. There are two important words over here. One is preserve. Preserve, usually it goes with food industry. We use the expression food preservatives. That means maintain the food without getting spoiled. In this context, preserve means to maintain something in its original or existing state. In this context, it goes with nature, rivers, and mountains. And integrity of rivers and mountains. Integrity, it has got two different meanings again. One meaning goes with you all know we use it when it comes to national integrity, being one whole. So, what is the meaning of integrity? The state of being whole and undivided. Here it talks about not touching the rivers, not touching the mountains. And imagine the river has its own flow, and we construct a dam. Obviously, it is like touching the integrity of the river. And when it comes to quarrying, again, the mountains get affected. So it talks about the main idea is about the impact of the monsoon and what the states have to do to deal with the problem of the devastating impact of monsoons. One, they have to preserve the integrity of rivers, and second, they have to preserve the integrity of mountains. Very clear. Now, based on this main idea, it provides a background information. What is the background information? We all know June to October, it is monsoon time. The entire country experiences monsoon, and this is the origin southwest. We call it southwest monsoon. And the impact of this you can see across the country, especially the southern states. And also in the month of October, this southwest monsoon goes towards northeast, and in a way, it withdraws. We use the word retreat. Now, while retreating this particular monsoon, it has made an impact on different states and a major impact on the state of Kerala. This sentence talks about that, the background information. Even as the southwest monsoon retreats, retreat means to go back. Even as the southwest monsoon retreats along parts of northern Karnataka, Telangana, Odisha, Bengal, and the northeastern states in October, it is leaving a trail of destruction in several districts. While retreating, while going back, what is it doing? What is its impact? It is leaving a trail of destruction in several districts. This talks about the impact of retreating monsoon on different states like northern Karnataka, Telangana, Odisha, Bengal, and the northeastern states in the month of October. This is October, time to retreat for the monsoon. What is it doing? It is leaving a trail. There are two words, trial, trail. Both come under confusing words. The word trial goes with, it's a legal term. Trial. If you someone files a case, then the case goes to the court, and the judge listens to the this person's stand, the other person stand. The whole process is called the trial. But what is the spelling of this word, trail? What is the meaning of trail? A mark or a series of signs or objects left behind the passage of someone or something. Imagine you're lost in a forest and you want someone to know in which direction you're going, and you leave something behind in whichever direction you go. And let's say a few stones or a few colored leaves, then those are searching for you. Based on this trail or the signs you leave, they can trace you. But in this context, it talks about trail of destruction. Unfortunately, trail of destruction in several districts. So you can see the impact, negative impact of the monsoon in several districts, and it is like leaving a trail behind at the time of retreating. Significant loss of life has occurred in Kerala. As I said, the focus is this editorial, though it talks about the negative impact of the retreating southwest monsoon, the focus is on Kerala state. While the heaviest recent downpour has been reported from West Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, East Rajasthan, and Uttarakhand, with as much as 31 centimeters in Soyapur on Monday, there has been very heavy rain in Kerala and Gangetic West Bengal. Again, this goes into details and provides the information regarding the recent downpour. So, this talks about the recent downpour has been reported from West Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, East Rajasthan, and Uttarakhand. With as much as 31 centimeters in Shirpur on Monday, there has been very heavy rain in Kerala and Gangetic West Bengal. The impact has been more on Kerala and Gangetic West Bengal. The Indian monsoon is an invaluable resource. Now, the editorial talks about already it has provided the information, background information. Now, general information about the monsoon, Indian monsoon, what is its contribution, whether it is important, not important, indispensable, not indispensable. It talks about that. The Indian monsoon is an invaluable resource. That's an important expression. Invaluable resource means you cannot measure. Something is invaluable, priceless. You cannot measure it. Invaluable resource that sustains hundreds of millions of people, but variations in its patterns and intensity pose a rising challenge. We all know Indian economy, the backbone of Indian economy is agriculture. And for agriculture, monsoon is something like essential. It is essential and very important. Because of that, the Indian monsoon is an invaluable resource that sustains. There's one important word: sustain means what? Strengthen or support physically or mentally. In this context, Indian monsoon sustains hundreds of millions of people, those who depend on agriculture, cultivation. But variation, the problem now, Indian monsoon is something very useful, invaluable resource. But there's a problem of late. What is that problem? But variations in its patterns, now it has become erratic. Erratic means unpredictable, not regular, and because variations in its patterns, they are not acceptable in the sense unpredictable. Then you cannot handle easily, and intensity pose a rising challenge. There are two problems when it comes to monsoon of late. One is variations in its patterns, one problem. The other problem, intensity. And heavy downpour, intensity is more, definitely the impact will be more. Pose a rising challenge. This is a challenge, a rising challenge. Kerala, which hosts a vast stretch of the Western Ghats, is having to contend with these changes with almost no respite between severe spells. Now, this again talks about Kerala state. If you take Kerala state, it has the Western Ghats. It hosts a vast stretch of Western Ghats, is having to contend. There's one important word: contend means what? Struggle to surmount a difficulty, struggle to overcome a difficulty, contend with these changes. They have to face these changes with almost no respite between severe spells. Now, Kerala has been experiencing severe spells and there's no respite. Respite, an important word. What is the meaning of the word respite? It means no break, no interval. Respite, a short period of relief. Imagine rains continuously, then we say no respite from heavy rains, means there's no gap, continuously heavy rains. The recurrent bursts show that anomalies in precipitation over the state, spectacularly demonstrated by the inundation of idyllic towns in 2018 and by mudslides that killed many a year later, require a comprehensive adaptation plan. Again, it talks about what happened in the past. It goes back to 2018, then 2019. It talks about the impact of the monsoon. The recurrent bursts, recurrent means repeating, the recurrent bursts show that anomalies, anomaly an important word. Anomaly means deviation from what is normal, or aberration. Something normal gets deviated, then we use the word anomaly. The recurrent bursts show that anomalies in precipitation over the state, that means the rain related anomalies, spectacularly demonstrated by the inundation of idyllic towns in 2018. Again, there are two important words. One is inundation. You have got this word many a time. Inundation means a flooding. A particular city gets inundated, means what? It gets flooded. And idyllic towns, Kerala is known as God's own country. Kerala is known for beautiful landscapes and beautiful towns and cities. Idyllic towns. So idyllic means extremely picturesque. It has got two or three meanings: extremely happy or peaceful. But in this context, extremely picturesque means what? Very beautiful, beautiful landscapes. And by mudslides, 2018 they had to face the inundation problem, and after that, next year means 2019, mudslides that killed many a year later require a comprehensive adaptation plan. As I said, any editorial, there is a stimulus. What is a stimulus for this editorial? Yesterday, day before yesterday, Kerala experienced, I think, last 2 or 3 days, heavy rains, heavy downpour. And based on the impact of that, and also in general, the impact of monsoon and the reasons behind, this editorial has been written. So here he talks about whenever they write about a particular problem, they also write about the background information, and obviously they have to write about the solutions. So, what is required to deal with this monsoon? Now on, you can see what is a solution. require a comprehensive adaptation plan. There's one word, comprehensive, we have got many a time. What is the meaning of the word comprehensive? Complete, holistic, exhaustive. Usually it goes with syllabus. We say comprehensive syllabus, means touching every dimension. So here it talks about comprehensive adaptation plan. Every aspect has to be touched. This year's, now it comes to 2021, this year's torrential rain in the state. Torrential, in fact, that is an important word. And heavy rains, there are two idioms. One is, imagine it is raining heavily. You can say it is raining cats and dogs, one idiom. Another idiomatic expression with the same meaning, it is raining in torrents. That also means the same. Torrential rain in the state, which has killed at least 35 people so far, is causing alarm as large reservoirs in mountainous reaches start filling up fast while the northeast monsoon lies ahead. Now, northeast monsoon hasn't started yet. In spite of that, now there's a precarious situation, dangerous situation. What is that? So far, now the sentence talks about this year, the recent impact of the monsoon. This year's torrential rain in the state, which has killed at least 35 people so far, is causing alarm, obviously, danger bells, as large reservoirs in mountainous reaches start filling up fast. While the northeast monsoon lies ahead, once it starts, the impact is going to be more. Now, what is the response of the government? The government has responded by issuing alerts for several dams, including Idukki, and put in place plans to release water to avoid a repeat of the flooding witnessed 3 years ago. 3 years ago, Kerala experienced a flooding, and they don't want that to get repeated. To avoid that, they have issued an alert, and this alert is about water for several dams, including Idukki, and they wanted to release the water. If they don't release the water, it results in inundation or floods. The government has responded by issuing alerts for several dams, including Idukki, and put in place plans to release water. They have to release water because they're getting filled up very fast to avoid a repeat of the flooding witnessed 3 years ago. Significantly, now the editorial talks about whenever they talk about monsoon, they have to talk about the IMD. So, significantly, importantly, the IMD has issued an alert for more heavy rainfall in Kerala from October 20th. Today, what is the date? 19th. So, it is not over. The IMD has issued an alert for more heavy rainfall in Kerala from October 20. The precarity of living conditions. Now, this is an important word you have got many a time, precarious, dangerous. Precarity means danger. The precarity of living conditions in much of the country make the annual monsoon a persistent threat for millions. Now, monsoon is one thing on the one hand. On the other hand, the living conditions, the dangerous living conditions, because the living conditions are not up to the mark, they are dangerous. The impact is going to be more. The precarity of living conditions in much of the country make the annual monsoon a persistent threat for millions, and government should do more to reduce the risk to life and property because the living conditions are not up to the mark, and because of that the impact is going to be devastating. The role of government is very important. Government should do something, do more to reduce one, to reduce a risk to life and property. Whenever there is the impact of monsoon, you can see on the property, on the lives also. Nurturing the health of rivers. Now, the editor talked about the main idea. What is it? We have to maintain or preserve the integrity of rivers, the integrity of mountains. Nurturing the health of rivers, nurture to take care of someone or something and make sure it grows well. Nurturing the health of rivers and keeping them free of encroachments, protecting the integrity of mountain slopes by ending mining, deforestation, and incompatible construction hold the key. Now he talks about the solution, the key. Where is the key? What is the solution? It talks about nurturing the health of rivers and keeping them free of encroachments. One idea. Encroachment is an important word. Usually you come across that in towns and cities. What is the meaning of the word encroachment? Intrusion on a person's territory, rights, etc. Usually it goes with the government property someone occupies, then we use the word encroachment. In this context, it goes with encroachment of mountains and rivers. Nurturing the health of rivers and keeping them free of encroachments, Protecting the integrity of mountain slopes by ending mining. Mining definitely affects mountain slopes. That should be stopped. Deforestation and incompatible construction. Compatible matching and incompatible, they don't match. That's also an important word. They hold the key. The ecological imperative. Now, what is important here, the message? The ecological imperative should be clear to Kerala with successive years of devastation, echoing the warnings in the Madhav Gadgil Committee report on the Western Ghats. Now it talks about Kerala has to be a little careful, and there's a message. What is it? This years, successive years of devastation or destruction of nature, echoing the warnings in the Madhav Gadgil Committee report on the Western Ghats. Land may be an extremely scarce resource today. Intrusion because of scarcity of land. Land may be an extremely scarce resource, but expanding extractive economic activity to montane forests is certain to cause incalculable losses. Today, we talk about encroachment, we talk about exploiting the natural resources, development, all these things. One of the reasons, scarcity of land, but it doesn't mean that expanding extractive economic activity to montane forests is certain to cause incalculable losses. Now, imagine there's a town or a city, you do something over there. To some extent, it is okay. But you extend this extractive economic activity, an important expression, to the mountain region, definitely it is going to make a negative impact. Montane, important word, pertaining to or relating to mountains or mountain regions. So, what is the impact of this quarrying? One estimate by researchers in 2017 put quarrying area in Kerala at over 7,157 hectares, much of it in central district that were hit later by mudslides. Indirectly, the editorial says the impact of quarrying, the result of quarrying, those areas, central districts that were hit by later by mudslides. It resulted in mudslides. It should be evident to governments that it is unconcernable to allow the pursuit of short term profits at the cost of helpless communities. There's one important word unconcernable means what? Not right or not reasonable. It is not right to allow the pursuit of short term profits at the cost of helpless communities. The government thinks of short term profits at the cost of helpless communities. Who is going to get affected? Obviously, the helpless communities, and we will experience the loss of life and the loss of property. A more benign development policy should treat nature as an asset. There's an important word benign, you have got many a time. It means what? Kind. A more benign development policy should treat nature as an asset. Nature is an asset, obviously, not an impediment. Impediment, we have got many a time. What is the meaning of that? Block or hurdle. So, hindrance. Accurately mapped hazard zones should inform all decisions. So, here something is required. What is required? Accurate means specific. Mapped hazard zones should inform all decisions. So, based on these accurately mapped hazard zones, they have to take decisions, and it is a particular zone comes under hazard zone. They should not touch that one. That's what it talks about. Hazard means again danger. How does the editorial end? Now it talks about similar threats, northern region. There is a similar threat from extreme weather, breaking glaciers and cloudbursts to Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh. Here, glaciers, a large body of ice or snow that moves very slowly over down a slope or spreading outward on a land surface. We use the word glacier. It is nothing but thin sheet of snow moving slowly. Several states face climate change impacts and extreme weather, and the response must be to strengthen natural defenses. How does it end? Many states are going to face in the near future impacts of climate change and extreme weather, and the response should be or must be to strengthen natural defenses. That is very important. So this is all about the editorial, an important editorial. And what are the questions you can think of based on this editorial? What is this editorial about? Definitely you have to write because it's an important editorial. What is leaving a trail of destruction in several districts? Always focus on keywords. Trail of destruction, several districts, easy to locate and write the answer. In the context of the editorial, what poses a rising challenge? What are the key words? Pose a rising challenge. What is causing alarm? Again, keywords. As large reservoirs in mountainous reaches start filling up fast. What makes the annual monsoon a persistent threat for millions? Now, monsoon is an invaluable resource beyond any doubt, but of late, monsoon has become sort of something dangerous and it has been posing a threat. This question talks about what makes the annual monsoon a persistent threat for millions of people. Again, easy to answer. Now let us go to practice questions based on exam topics. The first five questions are based on error location. Try to read the sentence very carefully and try to spot the error. At the start of the century, developing economies are a source of unbounded optimism and fierce ambition. So where is the error? Surmount, overcome. Yes, very good. Adi. Trail of tiger footmarks. That's also a good expression. Pritham. Encroachment, intrusion, trespassing, yes, Nagamani, all related words. About the Indian monsoon impact on Kerala and other states and the solution to face the challenges. Very good, Pritham. I appreciate. What is the answer? Question number one, no one has responded. First part, nothing wrong with the first part. First part, absolutely no problem. At the start of the century, nothing wrong with that. Where is the error? At the start of the century means present or past. Obviously, it goes into the past. Developing economies, then you cannot use the verb in the present form, it should be in the past form. At the start of the century, now at the end of the century, at the start of the century, that goes into the past. Then we cannot use a verb in the present form, it should be in the past. At the start of the century, developing economies were a source of unbounded optimism and fierce ambition. So this is about past tense. Past tense, why should we use past tense? Because the context is past context. How can we say the context is past at the start of the century? That goes into the past. Now we are not at the start of the century. Obviously, at the start of the century, that goes into the past. And always remember, when it comes to mains exam, what matters, context is the king. Context is very important. You understand the context, question is easy. You don't understand the context, then you cannot spot the error. I don't think one or two students have got it right, but many students could not get it right. Please go to question number two. The new shoes offer such a big performance advantage that critics have described them as technological doping. One or two students have got it. No one has responded. Question number two. The new shoes offer such a big performance advantage that critics have described them as technological doping. How come this long? No, no. The new shoes. Now take each the subject to the new shoes. Offer, plural, offer, no problem. Verb. Offer what? Such a big advantage, performance advantage. Such a big, such takes the word that, such that. Such a big performance advantage that critics have described them, present perfect tense, critics have described them as what? As technological doping. Here we don't use the indefinite article. And as what? Technological doping. There is no error. The sentence is grammatically and contextually correct. Absolutely no problem. Have described them as technological doping. No one has got it right. Please go to question number 3. The ants attack herbivorous insects which eat the tree's leaves. Now I see Sai Chandu says no error. No error whatsoever. The ants attack herbivorous insects which eat the tree's leaves, remove encroaching vegetation, and also offer protection it from disease by distributing antibiotics synthesized by bacteria living on their legs. A lengthy sentence looks like a paragraph. Yes, please go to the next one. Looks like you guys are busy reading. The ants attack. Here there's a verb. Herbivorous insects which eat the tree's leaves. The ants remove encroaching vegetation. The ants also offer protection and also offer. No, here you have to use the same expression. The ants attack, the ants remove, the ants also protect, protect, and also protect. Also can be used and also protect it from. So, what is this about? It is about a parallel expression. Parallel expression. Attack, remove, protect. All the verbs should be in the same form. The ants attack. The sentence is in present tense. Present tense. And we have to use all the verbs in present form. Attack, remove, protect, they are in the present form. And question is about parallel expression. Do remember, always ask the question, what is this about? Extracting it is hard work which involves grinding and heating the mineral and then treat it with sodium cyanide, which is extremely toxic. Please go to question number 4. Why no response? An easy one should not be that difficult. Yes, very good. Who is this? Vijayan has got it right. Extracting something, extracting it is hard work which involves grinding and heating the mineral, and then treat is not correct, treating it. Grinding, heating, and treating it with sodium cyanide. This is also based on parallel expression. Parallel expression. Grinding, heating, and treating. That's right. Very good. You guys got it right. That's wonderful. Please go to question number 5. According to estimates by McKinsey, a consultancy, 24% of the world's gold reserves are refractory, meaning the gold must be yanked to the clutches of some mineral, in most cases, pyrite. This is not easy. Some of these are from international magazines and not easy too. Both are entirely different. Then goes with comparative form and then goes with the time, now and then. Who is this Lakshman? Now, then, that time. So now and then they go with the time concept, then goes with comparative form. Taller than, bigger than, brighter than. We use the word than when it comes to rather than comparative form. Here, yank means to hit hard, to use force. Yank means to use force to get something. Nothing wrong with that, but it takes a preposition from, not to. Yank from the clutches of. Extract. Yank means what? Using force to extract something. This is the toughest, not at all easy. So here we have to use a preposition from. Yanked from, not to the clutches. from the clutches of some mineral, in most cases pyrite. No, that is not easy. Now, five questions or four questions based on sentence completion. What are these questions about? Sentence completion. His appearance is unsmiling, but choose one of the options to complete the sentence. Sentence completion, four questions, I think, four or five. His appearance is unsmiling, but all these are based on contextual awareness. His heart is full of compassion for others. 1D. He looks very serious on most occasions. People are afraid of him. He is uncompromising. He's full of jealousy towards his colleagues. Answer is the first option. His appearance is unsmiling, and you have a contrasting conjunction. But unsmiling means what? Negative. Then, but you have to use positive expression. Very serious, negative. People are afraid of him, negative. And uncompromising on the matters of performance, this is not, again, in a way, negative. Jealousy, negative. Only one positive expression, that is, his appearance is unsmiling, but his heart is full of compassion for others. Easy to make out. Contrast. So you have to think of contrast. Yes, that's right. Despite his best efforts to conceal his anger, this is also an easy one, should not be that difficult. Complete the sentence. Despite all these questions are based on contextual awareness. Despite his best efforts to conceal means what? Hide. No one has responded. We could detect that he was very happy. No. His best efforts to conceal his anger. Anger is negative. You cannot use very happy. He failed to give us an impression of his agony. No. He succeeded in camouflaging his emotions. He could succeed in doing it easily. People came to know that he was annoyed, despite also expresses a contrast. Despite his best efforts to conceal his anger, people came to know what that he was annoyed. As simple as that. Answer is E. No one has chosen E except Vijayan and Nagarjun. After that, I see Nagamani, Yashashvi. See here, despite his best efforts to conceal his anger, he tried to conceal or hide his anger, but people came to know that he was annoyed. Understand the context, contextual awareness. This is what I have been talking about. When it comes to SBI PO or IBPS PO, you come across questions which are based on contextual awareness. Here, nothing to do with, you chose Adi, that's good. Nothing to do with your grammar knowledge, purely based on the context. What does it mean? He tried to hide his anger, but people came to know that he was angry. That's it. So other options, they don't go with the context. Only one thing stands out, that is E. I'm really surprised only a few students have got it right. Context is a king. Yes, Adi, you're right. Even though it is a very large house, even though this also talks about a contrasting situation. Catch the key words, understand the context, then you can easily get the right option. Even though it is a very large house, even though then you cannot use there's a lot of space. That does not contrast. There is no dearth of space. Again, no contrasting. The servants take long time to clean it. It goes with the actual idea, not opposite. The municipal taxes on it are very heavy. This also goes with. So, what is only one option stands out. Even though it is a very large house, there is hardly any space available for children. It's a large house, but unfortunately, hardly any space available for children. That shows the contrast. Contrast, obviously. No, 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 it is only B. No other option can stand. Practically, very little work would be completed in this week as it was very little work would be completed. As a reason why in this week as it was what? Full of working days and work will be completed. Full of holidays, hold this one. A very busy week, no, that cannot be. Loaded with work, not related. Dearth of space, but usually it talks about hardly any space goes with the context. There's dearth of space also can be used, shortage, lack, but contextually speaking, hardly any space available for children, the best expression. A very hectic week, nothing to do with those. Holidays, employees don't come, obviously, the work will not be completed. Practically, very little work would be completed in this week as it was full of holidays. Yes. Here, these are fillers, now not sentence completion, questions related to sentence completion over. Now you have questions, fillers, only one word you have to select. Again, understand the context and based on contextual awareness, choose the right word. Indications are that the government is to the prospect of granting bonus to the striking employees. Aligned, obliged, reconciled, relieved, authorized. 1B, we don't use the word obliged. No. Aligned also does not go with the context. There is an obligation on the government. We cannot use the word obliged. Relieved. Why should they get relieved? Here they have to grant bonus. Authorized. Obviously, government can do that. Answer is C. Reconciled. Only one or two students have chosen. Giri Sagar and Anusha, two students I see. After that, I don't see. Answer is indications are that the government is reconciled to the prospect of granting bonus to the striking employees. What is the clue here? Striking employees. Employees are on strike and they want bonus. Usually, what happens, a company or the government may refuse, the company may refuse. But situation, sometimes what happens, the situation demands or compels, and they have to accept, there's no choice. And reconcile means what? To accept a fact, though you don't want to accept. You are in a bad situation, you try to do something about that, but eventually you realize you cannot change it and you accept it. Then we use the word reconcile, reconciliation. Reconcile to the prospect of granting bonus to the striking employees. Striking employees is a clue for you. I think only two or three students have got it right. Again, this is based on contextual awareness. Please go to question number 2. The study on import of natural gas from Iran through a pipeline would be completed shortly. What study? Study is a noun, you have to choose appropriate adjective. This again goes with the context. Natural study, calculated study, economic study, reallocation study, feasibility study. If you read the newspapers, 1 second you can find out, yes, who is this? Yashashvi, within no time. He got it right. After that, Vijay Bhaskar also. Feasibility study, feasibility report. We also use this word with one is a feasibility study, feasibility report, generally we say. Feasibility report also we can use. Answer is E. No, no, economic study. All these words not correct. Question number 3. His party is solely to be blamed for the political in the country. Revival, blame is a negative word. That is a clue for you to understand the context. Devaluation goes with money, not with politics. Revival, blame is a negative word, you cannot use a positive word. Advocacy, promoting, again, it doesn't go with the negative context. Either stalemate or degradation, one of the two. Stalemate, it doesn't talk about different parties' discussion. Then we use a word, it has resulted in stalemate. Here it goes with degradation. His party is solely to be blamed for the political degradation in the country. Degradation means going down the standards, the values. So answer is E. And what is a clue for you? To be blamed, this one word is enough to understand the context. No, stalemate is not the right word. What is the reason? Imagine many parties are there, or the government and the opposition, some discussion, some talks, no solution. Then we use the word stalemate, deadlock, dead end, stalemate. Here it doesn't talk about that. It talks about the standards, degradation of standards coming down. We have not given hour to conduct the survey of natural resources in our state. This is rather easy. One reading before you see the options, you should be able to get the right word. And that is possible if you read the newspapers regularly. And do remember, mains questions, prelims or mains, quite often, many questions can be answered based on exposure to the language. How do you get it? By reading the Hindu paper every day. 4B, someone has answered. Who is this? Balu Nayak. First one to respond. Very good. We have not given our consent. Consent means what? Approval or permission. Permission. We have not given our consent to conduct the survey of natural resources in our state. Very good. I think almost all the students have got it right. And now let us go to 5 idioms. SBI PO, IBPS PO, especially SBI PO, they ask questions related to idioms. So, dark horse, what is the meaning of dark horse? At daggers drawn, elbow room, El Dorado, fag end. Try to answer. These have been given many a time, and this is the second time I think I have brought these idioms because they're very important. 1B, dark horse, candidate with doubtful chances of success. Very good. It is B. At daggers drawn. Yes, Yashashvi, you have been asking how to read the newspaper from the exam point of view. I do remember. Let's see if I get time today. I will do that. At daggers drawn, usually it goes with the politicians, writers, and also celebrities. Two is what? D. Openly hostile. Very good. Elbow room. Space in which one can move freely or one can take decisions. Answer is E. El Dorado, that's an important expression. An imaginary land of plenty and prosperity. So C is the answer. Fag end of the session. We have come to the fag end of the session. I use that quite often. What does it mean? Last part of something. A is the answer. If you have got all the 5 correct, you should be very happy. That's wonderful. Now let us go to the 10 words from the editorial. Yes, yes, I will try to do it today. Try to answer quickly. Editorial vocabulary. Preserve. What is the meaning? Preserve, it's a verb. So what does it mean? Preserve. Maintain something in the same state, original condition. All the 5 correct. That's wonderful. Nagamani, Adi. So, yes, yes, I'm going to do that. Today, I will give a few tips. Deviation from maintain something. So, one C, integrity, to be a complete whole, a whole without any division, state of being whole. So, it is noun. E is the answer. Go to the second one. Trail is also noun. It can be a verb, but usually it is used as a noun. So, what is the meaning of trail? Trail of something. Series of signs left behind. Answer is G. Sustain, sustained. It's a verb. It's a regular verb. In this context of the editorial, strengthen or support physically or mentally. So answer is I. Content means struggle or to surmount, to overcome a difficulty, a hardship, or problem. So what is the answer? It's a verb. Answer is A. Respite. There is no respite from rains. Means what? No break or relief, short period of relief. J is the answer. Anomaly, abnormality, deviation. Anomalies means what? Deviation from what is normal. B. Inundation, we have got many a time. Noun, it means flooding. Answer is F. Idyllic towns, idyllic villages. So obviously, adjective means what? Picturesque, extremely picturesque in this context. Montane. Again, montane goes with adjective. Regions means pertaining to mountains, mountain regions. So H is the answer. Has anyone got all the words, 10 words correct? You should be happy. Now have a glance, have a look at the words you have got from today's editorial. You got about 20 words, I said at the outset. Preserve, integrity, trail, precarity, persistent, glacier, sustains, all are important words. Content, respite, encroachment, incompatible, montane, anomalies, inundation, idyllic, unconcernable, benign, impediment, hazard. You should have all the words at your fingertips. And before I wind up the session, I would like to tell about how to read the Hindu paper in brief today. In fact, when it comes to SBI, PO, or any bank exam, SSC also, IBPS, PO, now you have these two exams in the near future. Do remember, newspaper reading plays a crucial role. No Balu Nayak, I think it is not going to be there, but I'm going to start night 9:30, separate, keeping bank exams in mind. I'm going to start. Just wait for 1 or 2 days. I'm going to make the announcement on this channel, Murthy's channel, not an academy, and all about SBI PO and IBPS PO, previous year's questions and mock test, mini mock test. I'm going to start. Just wait for 1 or 2 days. So, because a lot of people they wanted SBI PO, IBPS PO related stuff from my end, so I would like to do that. SSC CGL, that is again 7:30 p.m. Unacademy SSC channel. I have been doing Ramaya Yadav. That has been going on 7:30 p.m. Unacademy SSC channel, dedicated. I have been doing for the last 4 months or 5 months. Now, let me talk about, we have about 5 minutes. I would like to tell about how to read the Hindu paper. Why should you read the Hindu paper? See, what happens, I always tell my students, read the Hindu paper. I also tell them, because I tell so many times, I tell them I'm not the brand ambassador for the Hindu paper. And my intention as a well wisher, what is good, I know, what is essential, I know. I try to impose that on my students, keeping the success of the student in mind. I know for sure, with conviction, I say, read the Hindu paper every day. Then comes the question, how to read the Hindu paper, and why should you read the Hindu paper? Why should you read the Hindu paper? When it comes to English part, bank exams or SSC, you all know we have three areas. One is grammar, second is vocabulary, third is reading comprehension skill. When it comes to bank exams, mains especially, the major thing, reading comprehension skill is a deciding factor. And after that, you can place vocabulary and to some extent grammar. But prelims grammar is important. And thousands of people clear prelims. Prelims not a big deal, thousands in fact. But the major hurdle for many candidates, mains is a major impediment or major hurdle. And when it comes to mains, reading comprehension skill and vocabulary, these two play a major role. And also, when it comes to these two, grammar you can master in 1 or 2 months, no issues at all because it is static. But vocabulary, you need 6 months to 9 months. And reading comprehension skill means what? You have to expose yourself to the language. You have to expose yourself to a variety of contexts. And these contexts are based on sleeps. Already I have given the acronym. You have to expose yourself to the current topics or the issues in the limelight related to science and technology, economy, legal and education, economy, polity, and socio-cultural problems. And what happens when you read the Hindu paper? The editorials, the headlines, you come across these contexts. From the same context, they give the questions. They take the same context. They cannot go beyond. Now, what is the advantage when you read the Hindu paper, the editorials? Obviously, in the exam, many questions are based on science and technology context, legal context, education, economy, polity, socio-cultural problems. Already have read the Hindu paper, the headlines, the news items, and the editorials, then many questions look familiar. What is a basic advantage? When you take the exam, everything looks quite familiar, and you feel so comfortable to answer the questions. Now, coming to the question how to read the Hindu paper, first you have to read the headlines. I'm going to tell in brief. Read the headlines, take the Hindu paper, read the headlines, and read important headlines. Imagine you come across new words. Definitely, you have to refer the dictionary and find out the meanings of those new words. Headlines, quick glance. Then you have to read the editorial. One editorial. If you take the editorial page, you have left side two editorials, and you have the main editorial. Sometimes you have letters here, or you have an article. Don't go to the main editorial, don't go to this article. Of the two editorials, short editorials, take one editorial. To read and understand one editorial, it takes about 30 to 40 minutes or perhaps an hour. This is more than enough. One editorial a day. And when you read the editorial, you have to focus on three things. One is vocabulary, the new words. Second, grammar part, what are the sentence patterns, what are the tenses that are being used. And also you have to focus on the phrases, idioms, all these things that go with effective English. And finally, you have to focus on the context. Don't read the editorial casually. You have to focus on the editorial vocabulary and grammar. What are the tenses used in that particular editorial, and effective English, phrases, prepositional combinations, idioms, all these things you have to make a note. And finally, you have to have an idea. Today's editorial is all about monsoon, impact of monsoon. So next time in the exam, imagine you come across a passage either in prelims or in mains, about the passage is all about monsoon or torrential rains, then it becomes so easy for you to read quickly and answer the questions. And do remember, if you read the Hindu paper, the headlines, and the editorials, you can answer the passage if you take. You can easily get 7 questions, 7 marks out of 10. I can give in writing. And if you don't have the habit of reading the newspaper, passage becomes a tough thing, an uphill task. And also, if you read, imagine you read the passage, still you may not be able to answer many questions. But for some time you have been reading the Hindu paper, you have been reading the headlines, the editorials, all these questions, passage, close test. You may ask, sir, this reading comprehension skill, where does it help? When it comes to passage, you got to be good at reading comprehension skill. When it comes to close test, you got to be good at reading comprehension skill and exposure to the context. When it comes to para jumble, you got to be good at reading comprehension skill. When it comes to vocabulary, questions, fillers, you got to be good at reading comprehension skill. So there's so many areas. When it comes to mains, obviously they give two or three passages, close test, para jumbles, and a lot of questions based on effective vocabulary. Where do you find that vocabulary? Obviously, the Hindu paper. There's no other source. You don't have to go beyond the Hindu paper. So, someone, Yashashvi, you wanted how to read the Hindu paper? In a nutshell, read the headlines, read one editorial, but when you read that editorial, I have started this to save you your time. First, you attend this session, listen to me. After that, you read the editorial. It becomes very easy, and focus on the words, grammar aspects, effective English, and try to write about important editorials in your own sentences. Then, what happens? Descriptive paper, descriptive English, you have to write one essay, you have to write one letter. If you have the habit of writing, now you have about 1 month. 1 month also enough, more than enough. 1 month, you take important topics. I'm going to give the list of 50 topics, and you focus on those topics. You don't have to focus on many topics. Important topics, burning issues, topics in the limelight. At least those 50 topics, you should have the lexical terms and related idioms and phrases and contextual awareness that helps you in the real sense. So, this is in a nutshell. Hope you have got it. Yashashvi, you're there. And if I get a chance, I have already done, but I'm going to do a separate, I'll come up with a video, how the benefits of reading the Hindu paper. Try to watch that. That is also very useful. You read the editorial first, then you attend my session. It becomes very easy for you. That's a good idea, Pritham. Thanks for being with me till 2 past 8. Have a nice day. Thank you very much. And do remember to subscribe and share and join the Telegram group. All that you have to do, click on the link, go to the description of the video, click on the link, and after the session, I'll provide the PDF